Hey, Lise here, and welcome back to another Human Design Q&A session. And today's question is one that I feel like we have talked about previously, but I want to dive a little bit deeper specifically for this person. And the question is simply, I'm a multi-passionate MG36, and I'd love to better understand how to use my human design to build a business that doesn't just stick to a single niche. That part of it is just not clicking for me yet. So here's what I would say. If you are fairly new to all of this, number one, if you haven't grabbed my book, Cultivate You, I definitely recommend doing that because it will help you just kind of start to really understand all of this from a business perspective. You can go and check that out on Amazon. I will also link below. But basically, when you're a manifesting generator, we always do things differently and we approach things differently, and there's no right or wrong way to approach this other than to follow your gut. We are here to respond first. So the easiest and simplest way for you to kind of figure this out is to actually just ask the universe, hey universe, I want to build a business that doesn't stick to just one niche. Send me some ideas, send me some signs for me to respond to. And then all you literally have to do is pay attention to what comes into your awareness, aka triggers your sacral response. What are the things that you start to lean forward when you see them? This is ultimately how I've created my business, is simply seeing something that triggers this sacral response. Oh, wow, that is really interesting. That's really exciting. And I will often lean in. I find myself doing that a lot when it is something that my sacral is like, hey, Lise, pay attention to that. And then you just kind of follow the yellow brick road. It is about responding and then informing. And the informing piece is what will help you determine whether there is actually an audience that wants what you have to offer. Now, if you don't have an audience right now, right, that's typically where a lot of people can struggle is, okay, well, how am I informing if I don't have an audience? And that's pretty simple. This is where social media becomes your thing of being able to understand whether there is an audience out there or not. Now, the simplest way to do this, and again, it depends on your social media setup and whether you want your friends and family commenting or not. This is where you can literally say, hey, I'm thinking about doing XYZ. Is anyone interested? Comment below and I'll share more details. And that's what informing helps us with, is one, understanding if people are even interested, and two, whether we actually have the energy to move forward with that. Because as an MG, the informing piece is also the stopgap that stops us from over committing and saying yes to everything, because we will say yes to a lot of different things. But as we start to move forward towards doing that thing, towards implementing, we'll either get another confirming yes from our sacral or whatever our inner authority is, or we're going to start to get like a no, this is not for me. And this has happened to me many, many times. I can't even recount the amount of times where I've started down a path and then kind of hit a roadblock, and not so much a roadblock, just my sacral is no longer on board. That is why they say we change our minds a lot, because we do, but we're equipped to pivot very quickly based on whatever our unique gifts, strengths, and talents are. So, all I would say to you is don't think that you need to understand this from a mental perspective. This is more a gut feeling process, right? Of being able to literally allow yourself the permission to let things come to you, because that's again how we're designed. Things come to us, and then we are here to respond, yes or no. It really is that simple. Where it gets complicated is where this comes into the mix and starts to try and figure out all the things when it can't figure out all the things for us. That is why, as MGs, we will either have sacral authority or emotional authority. Neither of those have anything to do with our head center. So it's very much about learning to let go. And, this is the hardest part of really trusting in your own human design and trusting in your sacral response. learning to let go of what the head is saying and wanting to figure it out because it wants to know all the things, trusting that if you just open your eyes and literally pay attention, ask the universe to send you stuff, and then all you have to do is respond. It is that simple. There's nothing to really click for you because it's not a mental thing that you need to understand. It is at a gut level. Are you excited about this thing? Yes or no? It starts there. Then we inform, then we can start to go through the process of, okay, so if I've got both of those components ticked off, then I can step into creating in response and going through a whole process. Now, as I said in my book, Cultivate You, I do start to go through that. And there is an actual entire series called Cultivate Your Business that book is part of. But I recommend starting with Cultivate You. And then if you want to learn more about how to create your offers, all of those things, there is an entire series of books that goes into developing your offers, writing your content, building community, all of those things. So I will link to those below, but I just wanted to kind of help you understand that. And really, the biggest key thing for you to remember is to respond first, always, right? We're not here to make things happen. So, this means that we need to step out of the head. Really difficult to do because we're taught to use this to make decisions. If you can, more often than not, start to follow your gut, this will become very easy. Honestly, I can't tell you how easy it is when you simply step into responding to everything. Everything is an opportunity to respond. The response is either yes or no. And a heck yes is what you're looking for. The yes that has you buzzing, the yes that you literally cannot sit still in your chair for. That is an unequivocal sacral yes. And the opposite is true, right? When it's a no, you're probably going to feel pretty sick. You might even find yourself kind of pulling back. Pay attention to that. Where we get tripped up is sometimes the sacral response might be nothing. And that is where our head is open to interpret. And we might find ourselves kind of going, oh, maybe I could try this. So that is why informing is also part of this process, because when you inform, if you get zero response, then you know that potentially you have made a decision based off of your gut giving you no response, which is a no, right? Focus on the yeses. Everything else is a no. So if it's not a heck yes, then why are you doing it? That's kind of the question that I ask myself. If it's not a heck yes, don't step into it, because it is going to probably not work 9 times out of 10, but it's also going to be really hard, complicated, and extremely frustrating, leading to not self themes of frustration and anger. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what that looks like, but it always starts with responding first, then informing, then you can go off and do things based on what feels aligned for you. Okay, lovelies, if you have a question about human design that you want me to answer on a next Q&A session, drop it below or fill out the form and I will come back to you and see you in the next session. Take care.